A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We have some breaking news regarding your Philadelphia 76ers. I was planning on dropping a whole video on the impact of Danny Green and Dwight Howard and their additions on this team, but with everything crazy going on in the world right now, I guess we'll have to save that for next week. But anyway, according to multiple in-the-know NBA sources, various members of the 76ers organization have contracted the you-know-what virus. This includes players and personnel/coaches. Commotion started after the Nets game on Thursday when it was reported that Seth Curry, who was with the team in the Barclays Center sitting on the bench next to Joel Embiid, had contracted it and he was forced out the building. As a result, the team had to be quarantined and tested in New York for 2 days, and the players who would be eventually tested negative would be sent back to Philadelphia on Friday to get ready and suit up for their game against Denver. So my thoughts on all of this right here is exactly why I thought that the season should have been chalked from jump. With multiple people out, it can really affect records drastically, especially playing basketball, because we already know basketball is a team game and it's not like football where you can actually get away with having a couple of players out. It is easier to feed into the next man up mentality. If a few key guys aren't playing, your team is basically cooked. Now, you know, any day, any team can do well. Shout out to the Nets who beat the Sixers with this exact predicament. But in totality, it's just not a good thing, you know, having multiple players out one day, them coming back the whole next day. It just doesn't give momentum, and in our case, it can lead to some pretty drastic turn of events and skid us in the wrong direction. I think this is the worst time for something like this to occur, or one of the worst times, because we have a lot of good matchups coming our way this week, and they would have been a good barometer to actually see what this team is made of. You already have a lot of folks in the NBA fandom and the national media calling our, hot start a fluke. Since 2013, Sixers slander sells. At this point, screw them. Luckily, Ben and Joel are not affected, supposedly. So we do still have our stars, even though they did not play tonight just because, Doc was trying to force the NBA's hand, but it didn't work. With that being said, we still have a 7-2 cushion, so we can afford a few losses here and there. But I do think that chemistry is going to be negatively affected if multiple players will be out for the foreseeable future. We need these reps with the full team with many chances as possible, so we are at full force going into the playoffs, just to build cohesiveness, because we all know with the many roster turnovers that the Sixers have had the last few seasons, we're not particularly good in that department. So the better we can play together really depends on the amount of time we play together. So I guess the next question, or the biggest question, is will this ruin chemistry itself on this team? I remember Joel saying earlier in the year, as well as the bubble, that he didn't trust any players to actually follow procedures when it came to COVID protocol, and it looks like the bull was right. How did Seth contract this? There is a theory out there that the Washington Wizards have been the squad passing along this jaunt to everyone. And if you recall, we played them earlier. Did Seth catch it from one of them? Is something else more nefarious going on? I don't know, man. This is obviously all conjecture, but I do not want another Rudy Gobert and D Mitch situation on our team. Good. Especially since everyone has been saying that their chemistry is at an all-time high. Please don't mess this up. I don't know, man. This is just crazy. I remember telling y'all in an earlier video that this season will be unlike any other we have witnessed before. It shouldn't be compared to other seasons. I'm just interested to see how history will look back on this time. I feel like these season stats as a whole for all teams should be negligible somewhat. How can you really count inconsistency within the NBA record books? I will say this though, this year, whoever wins the championship will be goons, because this is going to be a hard year to do so. But yeah, this is crazy. Playing ball during a pandemic. Lord have mercy. But in Sixers review news, we lost 2 straight games. The first one was against the Brooklyn Nets on Thursday, and we also lost yesterday afternoon against the Denver Nuggets. I'm not really putting too much credence into those 2 losses. The first one against the Nets was honestly a trap game. Yes, we did lose to a KD and Kyrie-less team, but the 76ers always have trouble against the Nets, especially Karis LeVert. And context is needed, as we were, coming off of a back-to-back the day prior. And then yesterday's game against the Nuggets, we didn't have nobody out there, for real, mainly bench players and rookies. And it's crazy because like the NBA is definitely biased. I literally just got a notification that the Celtics and Heat game has been canceled. Where was this love for the Sixers yesterday? Shout out to the boy Tyrese Maxey, who dropped 39 points in his first start. My rook is better than your rook. The Sixers are still in first place right now, but they are sharing it with the Boston Celtics at this point, and the rest of the standings are starting to even out. So let me know what you think of everything that is going on in the world with the Sixers. Let me know in the comments section. Like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Thank you everybody for pulling up and listening to a brother speak. Always put positivity out into the world. As always, them Bulls are mad because the process worked. My name is Cain, and I will see you next time. Peace.